Hello, everyone. I trust you're all doing well. So today I want to welcome you to Rise Above Talk Show. We are doing a follow-up on the work-life balance from the man's perspective. And today we are privileged to have Patrick with us. Patrick is, we did a small intro on him, but he can also he can do an intro on himself, maybe something we didn't catch up. I'll invite you to do an introduction, Patrick. And Delia, my co-moderator, is here with us. So I'll ask you to just say a few things about yourselves and, just to catch up. My name is Papi. I am the moderator, I'm the host of the show today. And I'm just waiting to hear on what Patrick has to share with us. Patrick is a leadership coach. And he does various things. He has his hands quite full, and we want to just get to know how he does what he does and what are the secrets. There's some secrets we might get from this show. So Delia, welcome, and then we can welcome Patrick.
Hey everyone, my name is Delia. I'm so happy to have you here again with us. Stay tuned, stay put.
Thank you, Delia. Patrick, you can do a brief introduction of yourself. Tell us what may be something interesting about you that we might need to know.
Thank you very much, Papi. And as you've already mentioned, I do leadership coaching. I also am a trainer in the same area of leadership and management. I pastor a church. I lead a charitable organization in Nairobi, Kenya. And the list is long. I think that I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you.
I think that this year I've been on the road so long that if I pieced up the time I've spent on the road, it would feel like driving for a month non-stop. So I find that very interesting this year, and I don't take it lightly, because for me, every mile shows me how God has been faithful to keep me safe on the roads.
Hallelujah, amen. Thank you so much, Patrick. It seems like, yes, you have your hands full and you're always on the road, as it seems. So we want to know how you've done it this year, then being on the road and with all the responsibilities you have. So tell us a bit about those responsibilities that you have and how you managed to pull off quite a number of responsibilities. You're heading an organization, you said, and you are a church, a pastor, you pastor a church. You're also a Bible study teacher. You're a teacher of the Word of God. And I'm privy to that. And then I know you're, yes, a leadership coach, you're a mentor, and you also have family. You have your brothers, your sisters, friends that, there's responsibility to that as well. So tell us, how do you manage to pull this off and still be on the road and be have all the responsibilities taken care of?
Well, I think there are many ways that I'd say I use as strategies, but one of my biggest strategies that I do is that I trust people to be able to take up responsibility that I assign them. And I assign them very well, knowing that maybe there's 80% chance that they will not be able to do the duty as I would like them to do, and they will fail. So I give them the room, and I also give them what do I call it? I already expect them to fail so that they can learn out of it. So I give them the room to fail, to grow. And I think that is one thing that every leader must want to use, where you accept that if you're not doing something yourself, when you're saying those duties, there's 80% chance that they will not be done as you want them. But then that is the only way how you get to rest and free your time for other things. And it's also the only way that other people get the opportunity to grow in their leadership. Secondly, I have come up with a percentage of work that I must do in every sector that I'm involved in. And I say that 80% of my job can be done by anybody in that institution that I am, be it the church or the charity or any other place. And then there is 15% of my work that only the top level managers of my different institutions can do. So this sometimes will be even meeting some people and some partnerships. So then for me, there's only 5%, I call it the critical 5% that only me can do and nobody else in the organization or in the church. And sometimes this is meeting new partners and even visioneering for the different organizations that I work with. And that's the 5% that I will concentrate and do, and leave the 95% for all the other people that God has entrusted me with to do that, because God has given them skills and talents that they can use, and we allow them to actually grow in those talents, and that is how I also grow to find time to lead.
Wow, the words I got was trust. First, you have to have trust in this delegation process, and I'm glad you have that trust, because most leaders, I think, lack that trust. And most of them tend to micromanage without really knowing they're micromanaging, but they really micromanage everything, and they end up, just losing that balance in life. So you've mentioned that there's work you actually delegate to other people. And once you delegate, you expect them to fail. Is it an expectation that you have? You delegate quite often, I'm sure. So do you still expect them to fail a third time, a fourth time, or it's just the first time and there's no room for failure?
I think that people get better each time they fail. There's a lesson that they learn from failing. And as a leader, you should or must reflect back to when you are a younger leader. And sometimes I'll say younger leader in terms of age, but sometimes younger leader in terms of the new role that you have. You failed at some point and someone came back and showed you grace. We have different ways of showing grace. Some people show grace with a loud voice. Some people like me will show grace with a very low voice, and I hope that people learn. But for you to continue where you are today, it means that someone cut you some slack, and that's why you're where you are today. So even if someone fails even the 10th time, at one point they'll get it, and they'll get it well. People say that they will not remember the things that you told them, or the things that you did with them, but they will remember the feeling that you left them, how you made them feel when they served with you. So you must make sure that even as you allow them to fail, you make sure that it's a lesson, that you tie the lesson into the failure, so that they can actually remember how graceful that you've been with them even when they've failed, and now they start putting their passion into what they're doing. And trust me, most of these people become even better than you who is assigning them the duty.
Wow, that is really a great aspect to have as a leader. You're able to lead others to become leaders as well. And I would say, yes, you need to have trust in the people you work with to be able to delegate. Is there a time, you left a duty to someone, you entrusted them with something, but they said, no, I cannot do it? And when they say that, what was the next step that you took to ensure that this work was done, and so you're able to carry on your other responsibilities?
Yes, people sometimes will not do what you ask them to do. And for me, I think that whether I jump in and rescue the situation or I leave it, usually it depends on if the issue is a matter of life and death. If it's not a matter of death, sometimes I let something go all the way and hit the rock bottom. Then we can build it from down there all the way up again. The harder it falls, the better lessons it allows us to learn together as we build it all the way back up. So I will only jump in to help a situation that will be dire, that is that is a matter of life and death. As leaders, we do not need to always put a safety net below everything. Sometimes allowing people to actually fail is how everybody in the organization will learn. But you must be very careful also to realize that if you seem to reward failure, then failure becomes the culture in your organization, because it seems like the person who fails is rewarded, and that is a cool thing. So everyone starts becoming lazy, everyone starts missing their deadlines and all that. And that's why when you show grace, you need to be very clear on how you're showing grace. Sometimes I will show grace, but then that does not mean that repercussions will not follow. For example, that does not mean that you will not get suspended, or that you will not get a bad mark when we do our reviews and all that. So even as we are graceful, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to let you off the hook.
Oh, tough love. I like that. So yes, as much as people are allowed to fail, there's also that limit. There's that you need to inform people that no, this will not be accepted. That is quite good. So in our previous talk show, Patrick, you mentioned about, because we mentioned about work-life balance, and you mentioned there's nothing really like work-life balance, and you showed us an example of a lever and how that lever can move from one point to the other. So maybe you can just elaborate more on that to our viewers and our listeners.
Yeah, I think normal situations, and I say that sometimes people will speak on situations that they've not thought through properly. It is just a cool sentence that they heard from somewhere, and they've carried it and run with it as if it's the gospel truth. So like work-life balance, I'm not sure that I know what it means, because for me, when I hear work-life balance, I feel like we're saying that there's work on one side and then the rest of life on another side. And then we sort of try to get a balance out of the two. First, it's very, very sad if your life is actually one half of your life, and then the rest of the other side is life, because then probably you don't like your life if it's carrying half of the value of your life. I like looking at life and work as one thing. It's all life. There's just one small or big element called work. There's another element called family. There's another element called recreation. There are other elements that we can continue mentioning. So how do you make work? How do you make life work as a whole? Not separating one situation, one activity against all the other activities of your life. I think what I said back then is that when you try to divide work from the rest of life, it means that you keep trying to find the balance, but things work. Things don't always work as you envision them to be. So sometimes you think that you've gotten the hang of it, and then someone does not show up at work, and then you're given more responsibilities. Then the balance that you had at work, now you lose it, because then if you're reporting to work at 8 and by 5 you're able to finish your work, it means that now probably you want to come in a little bit earlier and leave a little bit late. What that does, that destabilizes your life at home also. And everything seems to now start seesawing from one side to the other. And that's why I want to always insist that life and work should be together, meaning that work should be just one element of your life. So that if one thing like work is not cooperating, then you move the seesaw, the lever towards the work at that particular moment, where your friends and family are able to understand that in this season, Papi is not able to hang out with us because something is happening at work. They are doing their audits and she's needed more at work. And then after a week or two, she will be back with us. And when work is not as busy, that I am able to get that time and spend it with family and friends. So what I've done is that I'm moving the lever towards the family more and making sure that family is actually being compensated for the time that work took. And you don't try and fix the pivot on one particular point, but you make sure that your pivot of life moves from one side to the other, depending on where the weight is at in your life at that particular time. So sometimes it will be on the side of what we call family, sometimes it will be on the side we call work, sometimes it will be on the side that we call even recreation. For example, I really enjoy hiking and I take it very seriously. And I feel that at that particular point, work and family and church and all those things I do should actually excuse my passion for hiking to take on, and so that allow the pivot to move towards what is important at that particular time. Let me not keep talking about that over and over again.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned there's seasons to everything. Yeah, there's a season that, well, work will take priority more than the family or the friends, yeah? And there's a season the family takes priority. But there are times you would probably need to prioritize a bit better because your family really needs you at the point and your work really needs you. That's why we need to find that balance at that point. How do you prioritize at that point? Because it can be a bit overwhelming. And on that note, there's some people who are called workaholics. They tend to, they say when you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. But on the other side is that people who love what they do, they spend most of their time at work. They forget about family and friends. Most of their time is just, engrossed in the work because they're enjoying it. It's like a hobby. But the other people are losing out on this person. So what is your advice on that as well? What is your take on that?
Well, that is quite complex because sometimes people become workaholics not because they really love their jobs. Sometimes it's because they are running away from something, and they can easily be running away from their family and friends. We think that they love their work so much, and that's why they are always there. But at the same time, I tend to feel that adulting is a setup. So once you're an adult, you have to have a sharp mind that allows you to uh, I'd say prioritize things according to the need at that particular point, so that you're not just immersing your head into work and forgetting family, or then making family everything and forgetting that you need to provide for them from a place of work. I tend to believe that if family needs you a lot and work needs you a lot, because family cares about you and they're loyal to you, if we explain to them why sometimes you have to be at work, they will cut some slack and allow you to put a lot more of your resources and time to your work. But then this should also not be abused, where because we are cut some slack from the family and the family is with us even as we work, that we never get to a point where we stop working and then go and compensate back to the family the time that we've taken away from them, even when they needed us. But at the same time, at the very end, you sometimes, when you're needed by family and you're needed by work at the same time, sometimes you have to prioritize and ask yourself, what are you willing to cut off? For example, I have friends who have been abroad and their parents have gotten sick, and because they believe that their parents would pass away without them being around, they made the decision to leave their jobs abroad and come back home. And what value, it takes us to what value do you have as an individual? So people have different values, and for such a person, family becomes of value that they're willing to sacrifice any other thing to make sure that the family is fine, even if they're just going to drink water and lick salt. But at the same time, other people put more value in work. And even if something very bad was happening at home, they would never stop working to go and look at the situation back at home. So as an individual, Papi and even Delia, what are your key values of? Because when you understand what your key values of life are, then they will help you to make decisions when you are between a rock and a hard place. Because at some time when you're between a rock and a hard place, something has to give. So what will it be? Will it be family? Will it be work? Work or family? So sometimes life will get us that place where we have that one thing gives, but then I can't tell you what to give because it goes with your personal values. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. And I remember what you mentioned in our last talk show, that the real focus should not be on the small things. Like you gave us an example of a gadget, of the latest iPhone. You know, there's that hype of getting the social media hype and the status or the style to just get the new phone all the time. So people might want to base, their lives in work, try to get money because they just want this one thing. And you mentioned about, this can at times take your vision off, create an imbalance in that. As a leadership coach and a mentor as well, what would be your advice on this? Maybe expound on it, just give us the example again and then share a bit more about it.
Sorry, Papi, there was a small hitch that I missed part of your question. Would you please come up again?
Okay, so I mentioned in our previous talk show, you spoke about having the latest iPhone, having the latest gadget, and it takes priority at times. It takes, but it kicks you off balance or focus in life. So what is your advice as a leadership coach? What would you advise people on this in getting, probably the small things, making the small things count?
Yeah, I believe that it takes us down to what we value most, and what we value most will determine how we spend our resources, and time is one of them, money is another, and we can keep breaking them down. The Bible clearly says that where your heart is, so your treasures are also. So in everything in your life, be it the latest phones or cars or anything that you enjoy having with you, where is your heart? Because if your heart is in getting the latest, and they don't know why, then that's where your treasure is, and that is where we will always find you. And if it's not God-shaped, then you will follow the wind until one day you lose yourself. So I think that it's not bad to get new things, but then let's be very careful. At the same time, what I insist on is if our world's greatest athletes also have coaches and mentors, you should also have a coach and a mentor, and to bounce your ideas off them. Because sometimes we want to fly alone and become lone rangers, and it's very dangerous for anyone, and especially leaders, to fly as lone rangers. Think about it. Usain Bolt and any other great athlete in this world, they have coaches, they have mentors, they have people who speak to their lives. So for you, who is that person?
Thank you so much about your perspective on that. So I want to ask, being a leadership coach, how does coaching help in work-life balance? Is this part of your routine as well when you're coaching other leaders? Do you introduce this aspect of work-life balance, and what does it entail? What is it that you give them? This is a time maybe we're asking for free information here.
Yeah, how I look at coaching specifically is, for me, it's about helping people find their center. Because when you don't have your center correct, then you start moving like a lorry, a truck that has lost its center bolt. It will still probably get to its destination, but in a crooked way. I don't know if you've seen the buses or the lorries, that even though they're coming towards you, they seem to be moving sideways. When you move sideways, you like that bus or lorry that has lost its center bolt, you'll probably still get to your destination, but in a very crooked way. And probably it will be with a lot of heart, both for you and for other people. So for coaching specifically, we try to make sure that we help you find your center so that you're always balanced. And that is in life, and life, as I've said, has all those different elements, including work as one of them. So coaching is very necessary for everyone, and especially every leader, because even as a good, beautiful, most expensive sports car, we will need service. And coaching is one of the ways that any leader receives service. You know what happens to machines if they're not serviced? They start having a mind of their own and doing what their minds are telling them, and not necessarily the commands that you're feeding into them. So coaching is very important. Will help you as a leader find your center in everything.
Wow. So what are some of the areas that coaching helps in providing these practical solutions? because you're telling us it's important. It's like servicing your body. So what are some, is it important for every single person or just leaders or particular people in society? And what are some of the practical solutions that coaching provides?
Yeah, coaching comes in with an assumption that as you are, God created you with a lot of solutions to your own problems, and that because you understand your issues very well, you're probably the one who is best suited to resolve them. So as a coach, I work with you to find resolutions to your own issues, and I help you work out those problems and find your own resolutions from your own mind and heart. And as you asked, everybody needs coaching because we all get stuck in one or the other. Sometimes we'll get stuck as leaders, but sometimes you'll always just get stuck even as an individual person. Look at it, even someone who's around, 20 years, they might get to a place where they're wondering, do I go to college and study to become a pilot or a doctor? Because I qualify for any of those. Or when you are old, or so I should say older, you're going to 60 years and about to retire, you're wondering, do I keep living in the city or do I move to the more rural places? And as a coach, we can work with you around all those issues, and you get to a decision that is most valuable for you, so that you're not just making decisions that are costing you. And then you must remember that reversing some of those decisions can be very costly. And unfortunately, some decisions cannot be reversed. Once we make the decision, we cannot skip out from them.
Wow, that's quite interesting. I hadn't really looked at it from that aspect. Like, you know, when you decided to move locations, and I've just, what has come to mind is, you know, some women actually decide to leave their careers to become housewives. So is that also an area that is important to be coached?
Yes, because by the time you make that decision to leave your career and become a housewife, you need to be very clear that this is what you want to do. And you need to be very clear why you're doing this. And you need to be very clear to always have in mind what are the possible repercussions of such a big decision. If you don't think through all those things and work with a coach to help you think through those things, you might be regretting very soon. And sometimes there will be nothing that you can do about the situation because things have moved on.
So what would you say then is the difference between coaching and mentoring? Because it kind of seems like it's probably on the same line, on the same wavelength. So what is the difference?
Well, there's a huge difference where mentoring mostly is about a more skilled person teaching a lesser experienced person about skills and life experiences and all that. And the mentor comes as a superior party of that relationship, and they're telling you to do something. But the other side, coaching does not assume that a coach is more superior or more knowledgeable in a specific area than the coachee. And my work as the coach is to ask you the right questions that will be thought-provoking for you to be able to make your own decisions. So, for example, I have never been a medical doctor, but I can coach a medical doctor so that by the end of the day, he or she makes the right decision. But for me to mentor a medical doctor, it's assumed that I must be a medical doctor myself and even more experienced than that person that I need to mentor to become a better doctor. So I hope that we get the difference very clearly right there.
Yeah, that's quite clear. And maybe, the viewers who are watching and they would want to know about, if someone is changing their careers to go to become a housewife or to go into business, maybe out of your head, some of the questions that you might pose to them, one or two, just give us one or two. What are some of the questions so that we get a better understanding as what coaching entails?
Well, the first question that I would ask is, why do you feel that it's necessary to leave work and become a housewife at this particular point? And most
Let me
people
place myself in that position right now, although I'm not getting into being a housewife. But I think my balance in life is not perfect. And I feel like work is taking a lot and my family needs me most. So that is why I want to leave my work and concentrate more on my family, which is a priority.
How has your work been contributing to the welfare of your family?
Wow. Quite a bit, and I'm sure I've saved a lot to manage my family. Well, I was role playing there. I was just imagining what a housewife, someone who's going into being a housewife would say. Yeah, but yeah, thank you for those questions. It's just given us some insight on what coaching is about, and yeah, it's best to ask the right questions, because some decisions are just made, some life-changing decisions are just made out of feelings, temporary feelings probably. And it's important to have a coach, yeah. And as a coach, Patrick, where can we find you? How do we get in touch with you? We need coaching. Some people I'm sure would want coaching. How do we find you? And give us maybe your social media handles, how we can get in touch and get some coaching in life.
Well, I believe the easiest way is to shoot me an email. This is Patrick Mark1@yahoo.com, which this is Mark with a C and not with a K, and then number 1@yahoo.com. I will always reply to your emails within 6 hours or in a day. But then you can also find me on Facebook as Patrick Mark, again, Mark with a C and not a K. That is Patrick MARC. And you can shoot me a message and I will respond as soon as possible. But the easiest way also would be to do it through this channel, where you contact the admins of this channel that we're using today, and they will get the message out back to me. Thank you very much, Papi.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you for your time. I know you really have a busy schedule. You're doing so many things. As we started off, we mentioned all the things you're doing. Your hands are full. And I don't know where you get the time for it, but you've actually told us some of the secrets that you have in just getting that integration. So Delia, I don't know if you have a question for Patrick before we just end our show.
No, I don't have much to say, just to say thank you, Patrick, for sharing your time with us this evening and for expounding on all that you shared. However, I would like to let you know that a lot of our viewers were asking us after the show, this man, is he single, what? So is there space on your bar for your liver to rotate towards marriage, or is that not a priority right now?
I think that that's a good conversation starter about these people who are asking. Let them get to me one-on-one, and we can start from there and see if it's also an opportunity for me to coach them and them to mentor me in other ways.
Thank you, Patrick. That was really carefully escaped. You escaped that. You dodged that bullet clearly. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. You've heard it. If you want to know, yes, get in touch with Patrick. He's given us his email, Patrick, marc@yahoo.com. So we'll share it in our link as well, in our description, so that you can get in touch with him, whether you need when you need coaching, when you need mentorship, or you just want to get in touch over probably the word of God. You want to walk in that journey. He's also a Bible theologian. So thank you. And he's also a pastor. He says he pastors a church as well. And wow, it's quite a lot that you do, Patrick, and it's really impressive. All the best in your work. We want to wish you all the best, and with God's blessings. Thank you for being there in various fields, and thank you for joining us for this talk show once again. So be blessed.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
God bless. Bye.